First off, just a very warm congratulations to Juan and Joan and the whole Posada family on what will be in just a moment here, the baptism of Louis Ambrose. A beautiful example for the rest of us of just generosity and bringing their child to Mass and publicly having this baptism, I know, is just a boost of faith for the rest of us. So with gratitude, we're excited for you today. We have a parishioner here at Holy Family. I'm just going to call her Gloria. That's not her real name. But Gloria is 86 years old. She's been a parishioner at Holy Family for multiple decades, grew up in North Tulsa, now lives here downtown. Gloria is 86, and Gloria, I would say, is one of our most, we might say, active parishioners. First and foremost, Gloria prays. She takes her spiritual life seriously. When I visit Gloria, she tells me that every day she offers her daily rosary for the people of Holy Family Cathedral. That's you. When I go and visit her, she's really older and disabled and unable to come to Mass regularly. And she always asks, do you have any prayer intentions? What's going on at the parish? Anything I can be praying for? So she takes her prayer life seriously and uses the time she's been given to talk to God, to intercede for her family and for our parish. There are, of course, many wonderful and beautiful examples in our parish of people living a generous life like Gloria does. Gloria isn't rich, but she gives to the parish. Gloria is not able to do a lot physically, but she does what she can, especially with her intercessory prayer and encouraging her family in the faith. As was mentioned at the beginning of Mass, we're in the midst of our annual stewardship renewal. And we say this every year, a chance to make commitments in the area of time and talent and treasure. So if you're a registered parishioner, you got something in the mail. If you brought that today, just put it in the collection. If you didn't, there's some info in the pews. An opportunity to make your commitments known. I filled mine out yesterday online. So what's it all about? Really, it's about one word and one word only, and that's just simply generosity. That God has given us everything. God has given us everything. And so then we spend our lives, every one of us, no matter who you are, no matter what your age, we spend our lives trying to give that back to God in gratitude. This theme comes out every time we come to Mass, not just on the day of a beautiful baptism, but every time we come to Mass, there's a part of the Mass that's called the preface. Whether daily Mass or Sunday Mass, a wedding, a funeral, it's there every single time. So the priest standing at the altar either says or sings, "The Lord be with you." And the response of the people, of course, "And with your spirit." And then the priest sings or says, "Lift up your hearts." And you respond back by saying, "We lift them up to the Lord." And then the priest says, "Let us give thanks to the Lord our God." And then your response, I think, is very telling. And it says a lot about who God is and how we ought to relate to him. Your response back to, "Let us give thanks to the Lord our God," you say, "It is right and just." That's a profound statement. To say something is right, it means it's correct. It means that it's good. So what we're saying is, yeah, it's correct to give thanks to God. But then we say it is right and just. That actually, as a matter of justice, we give thanks to God. I don't know what the rule is in your family. In my family, growing up, if we ever received a gift, Let's say my grandma sent me $10 for my birthday. The rule in the O'Brien family was that $10 does not leave the card that it's in until a thank you note is in the mail. So there was some motivation, right, on my part. I want that $10. I want to do something with it. I'm going to write that thank you note, right, as a matter of justice. Now, I should, of course, want to thank Grandma, but it is right and just to give thanks to God. Now, in our community here at Holy Family, so many beautiful examples like Gloria of living a generous life. People using their time and their talent and their treasure. As you walked in today, you saw that there's a little project going on above us. A 6-month, $3.2 million roof renovation, right? How does that happen? Well, we got some insurance money. That's awesome. But it also happens because of the generosity of a lot of different people in the life of our community. To be able to do something that significant, it takes dollars and it takes a lot of talent. People to organize it and manage it. Some of them are on our staff, others that work for the companies that we've contracted with. Generous donors have made that possible. Just a few months ago, we bought some new land just to the south, 924 South Boulder. How does that happen? Well, it happens because of a lot of different generous people who identify a need, who step up, who say, I want to help with that. And not just in dollars, but again, in their talents, using their talents in maybe real estate or in renovating a space. We now have 20,000 square feet of grass that will be used by our school kids starting this week. Right? How does that happen? It happens through the generosity of many. Our Holy Family Classical School, we started this year on Monday with 262 students. I haven't been around here very long, but that's the most students that we have had in literally decades. And how does that happen? It happens through a lot of hard work, a lot of prayer, a lot of generous people giving to tuition assistance, giving to various projects to help get it done. Real people like you with real faith in the risen Lord and being generous with what you've got to be able to pull off some of these things. This is the life of stewardship, and we're in the midst of our stewardship renewal. And so I think of so many of you who have stepped up to sponsor people in OCIA. I don't know if you know these stats, but over the course of 18 months, the year that has passed and the months ahead, around 200 people are going to become Catholic at this church. That's wild. That's the size of some parishes. 200 people. Well, how does that happen? It happens because of the faith of the people coming, but it happens by a lot of people praying for and supporting those who are becoming Catholic by being their sponsors. I think about ministry leaders, parish office volunteers, liturgical ministers like lectors, sacristans, our army of altar servers. Some of you substitute in our school, or you volunteer with our middle school and high school youth group. I think of the choir. I think we take our choir for granted sometimes. You show up here every Sunday and they knock it out of the park. It's unbelievable. Right? How does that happen? Well, they practice a lot. They're generous with their talents, the beautiful voices that God has given them, and they choose to come here and to share that not only with God, but with all of us. Our money counters, our Knights of Columbus, people who are taking their faith seriously and trying to live that out in a very concrete way. Thursday night Bible study, Friday afternoon adoration of the Blessed Sacrament, our Tuesday men's holy hour, the confraternity of Christian mothers, the Catholic young adults, the home improvement ministry, the holy stitchers that repair the vestments when they get snagged or messed up in some way. We even have a group that goes out every Friday afternoon and serves the homeless in downtown Tulsa. That's just some of what's going on in the life of our parish. And of course, many of you are generous outside of the parish as well. You coach a youth sports team. Maybe you volunteer at Catholic Charities. Maybe you serve on the board of a nonprofit. All of those things, not just in the life of our parish, all of those things are ways in which you choose to be generous with what God has given you. Still more of you regularly praying for our Pope, praying for our bishop, praying for your priests and deacons. I think of the generosity of our deacons. We're so blessed to have many, many deacons in the life of our parish assigned to us. But our deacons often go above and beyond, more than just their basic job description. I think of the priests that live in our rectory. There's 9 of us in there. Everybody with full-time jobs. I think of Father Bala. He's in the confessional right now. He doesn't know I'm talking about him out here. He's a full-time chaplain at St. Francis Hospital. All day long, he helps and ministers to people who are sick. And then on Sunday morning, he comes and sits in that confessional for 2 hours. He's not being paid. He doesn't have to be there. I get a text every Saturday night, and he says, I would love to come and hear confessions tomorrow. Right? A life of generosity is what we're going for, trying to build the kingdom of God right here in Tulsa. It's a beautiful gift that we have been given to be disciples of Jesus Christ, who is risen from the dead. Finally, we heard in the gospel, strive to enter through the narrow gate. Just this morning, Pope Leo gave a homily that I read just before Mass. And he said, we should not be so sure about our salvation. Right? To be a disciple of Jesus is a difficult thing. It asks a lot of us. It asks for commitment. And in that commitment, we find our fulfillment. And so we give back to the Lord for all he has done for us. And so I hope you'll join me in making these commitments known, time and talent and treasure, and becoming the disciples that the Lord calls us each to be.